Looking back on our first 2 years of world schooling, teaching, learning, exploring, and working, there's one thing we know for certain. The way you start shapes the way you feel every single day.
There's no perfect path, but if we were starting world schooling again today, there's 5 foundational pillars that we learned the hard way.
When we first left, we thought world schooling was seeing as much as possible in each location. But what we discovered was deep learning happens for kids and adults when you stay in a place long enough to actually absorb it. The world is a classroom, but if you sprint through it without dwelling, you miss context, culture, and connection.
Instead of rushing between countries or cities, set a base for a season. For us, that means at least 3 months in one place. Long enough for kids to feel familiar with the rhythm, and for parents to relax into a familiar routine. World schooling isn't about packing the most into 1 week. It's about letting the world sink in.
We assumed world schooling meant movement. More countries meant more learning. And in the beginning, that energy feels incredible. But constant movement means constant resetting. New grocery stores, new transportation, new routines, new rhythms. Even really simple things like knowing where to buy essentials takes mental energy. And even though these resets sound small, together they build up and can be really exhausting.
Normal and boring are underrated. In our experience, when a place feels predictable, it frees up space for curiosity. And that's where learning stabilizes.
When kids stop scanning for safety, they start engaging. And that's when world schooling becomes education instead of just travel.
Early on, we designed everything around what was exciting. We stacked experiences based on what we felt like were priority. There's a subtle pressure to maximize. Maximize this time. Make it as fun and fulfilling as possible.
But full calendars create thin days. We had weeks where we were technically doing these really amazing things, but everyone was super dysregulated. Everyone was tired, overstimulated, and really needed rest. Early on, we underestimated what this lifestyle asks of your emotional and mental bandwidth. Why is this important? Well, kids pick up on stress, and long days of constant novelty exhaust them as much as it will exhaust you.
If you do too many exciting things, you run out of battery. You really need to recharge constantly. Simple rhythms. Morning reading circles, afternoon exploration, consistent bedtimes. Make transitions gentler and emotional load lighter.
A world schooling lifestyle touts adventure, but too often that left us feeling pressured to make every moment some super special highlight reel. And we learned that if you stress out making it count, it sucks the joy out of actually doing the thing. Some of our best memories weren't big excursions. They were quiet, regulated days. And that's exactly what makes this lifestyle last.
This one is operational. Banking, healthcare, work blocks, school rhythm. When those are unstable, even the good days feel a bit stressful.
And stress leaks. If the adults feel uncertain, then the kids feel uncertain. We've had weeks where even one small logistical change made everything spiral because we just didn't leave enough margin. It wasn't dramatic. It was cumulative.
If we were starting again, we would lock in the boring infrastructure first. Security before adventure. Because when the foundation is stable, everything else feels lighter. Bad days are to be expected, but when you have a bad day and your foundation is solid, it's not really such a big deal.
One of the richest parts of world schooling isn't the places, it's the people. When we first started, we thought we would make community after travel plans. And we learned too late that community is what makes this lifestyle richer and more fulfilling. Support isn't just social. It's practical, emotional, educational, and often life-saving when you're traveling.
We started to plan our locations around world school hubs, places that we knew were going to have families on similar adventures, also looking for connection, looking for support, with young kids, living this journey. It makes it much easier to get to know people and much easier to hit the ground running, both for the kids and for you. In our experience so far, it's just nice to see other parents struggling with the same normal day-to-day things with their kids as us. World schooling isn't making it harder for our kids. They're just going through the same things as everyone else's kids are.
I assumed the kids' friendships were key, and they are important, don't get me wrong. But adult support determines longevity. When we intentionally sought out other families, everything shifted. We relaxed, and when we relaxed, our kids relaxed.
First go round, we didn't define what would make us stop. It sounds dramatic, but it matters. What financial threshold would change our decision? What burnout signals would we watch for? What would indicate this wasn't serving our kids as we wanted it to? If you don't define those things up front, every hard week turns into a referendum on whether this lifestyle is working.
And hard weeks are normal. But without clarity, you start questioning everything instead of adjusting just one variable. And that creates unnecessary fear.
If we were starting again, we would define success clearly. And we would define stopping clearly. That removes panic from the equation. You know what to expect. You know what your thresholds are.
Looking back, we see that world schooling isn't about chasing the destination. It's about anchoring in life. If we were to start again, we'd start with these 5 pillars. These are the things that make world schooling not just sustainable, but meaningful. If you're at the beginning of this, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional. And in our next video, we'll show you exactly how we structure a year of world schooling. So stay tuned.